This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Center, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species, and Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to On the Road with the Fishing Canada crew, but this is a little bit off the beaten path for us. That beautiful set that you see behind us is not the usual Outdoor Journal Radio podcast set, but it is a lovely one.
Some of my favorite colors, Angelo. Black and red. I know. Black and red with some white in there.
We're coming to you live. For those of you who are picking us up live on the feed for the PanAm Black Bass Championship. Welcome to Outdoor Journal Radio Podcast. I'm Angelo Viola. He is Peter Bowman.
Hello there.
Canada Show.
How you doing?
And we're doing kind of a double duty thing today, so bear with us. If we screw up, the hell with it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We're kind of, I was going to say free fallers, but we're kind of free loaders today, right? So there you go.
Thanks to all the guys, Joe Ford, Brent, Moose, everybody who has made this event, this live event in Makawik possible. Thank you for extending us the hospitality.
Yeah.
We're down here covering it, actually, for the Fishing Canada show, and that's why this is on the road again.
This is this is the longest shoot we've ever done for the Fishing Canada show. We started in Fredericton 2.5 weeks ago, whatever it was, went over to Nova Scotia for about a 7-day stint. Now we're back in Fredericton, and believe it or not, tomorrow we are finally going home, brother.
Oh, baby.
It's been a long one,
It's been a long one, but it's been a great ride, great journey. We're going to share some of those experiences with you here in the upcoming minutes.
The East Coast by.
But first, we want to tell you we have got a special guest that's going to be joining us shortly. And we're tickled pink. We've had some great people on this show, as you know. Those of you who follow us, you know we've had some big names. But I don't know whether any of them have been, I don't know.
That's true.
This guy is
a Canadian icon, for sure.
A Canadian icon, and he was on a program that is probably one of the most recognized Canadian brands in Canadian television. It's called Trailer Park Boys, baby, and he is Randy.
Bull Bandy.
Pat Roach is his name, and he's going to be joining us. He is an absolute madman when it comes to fishing, and that's the part that we want to share with you here a little bit later on in the program. Great guy. You're going to enjoy him.
It's really surprising when you hear all these people like Tiger Woods loves fishing, Wayne Gretzky loves fishing. You hear all this, you say, wow, they really like fishing that much? Yeah, so it's cool. They all have this great hobby that we share. Not
many folks can go through life and not be touched at some point or other by the experience that we call fishing.
Absolutely.
The enjoyment of getting out on the water. And it's not about catching fish, by the way. Let me get that perfectly clear to everybody. It's the experience of fishing that really makes it what it is. And not many, a person could say, no, I've never been touched by fishing, because that would be a bunch of crap.
It's a classic example of that. You guys that know Ange and I know that we fish all the time, and it's about catching fish. Well, this actual episode, we've been on the water for I don't know how many days. We have not even cast a line yet. We are covering this PanAm Black Bass event, and it's been a riot. You know what I mean? We're watching other people fish. We're getting into the boats. We're going some boat-to-boat stuff. We're talking to some of the best anglers in the world, and it's it's not just about catching the fish. It's about the whole entire package.
By the way, what do you think of our wonderful little embroidered beautiful little pieces, which, by the way, are all available on fishingcanada.com, the store. You can go in there and click on, what is it? What's the...
shop.fishingcanada.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And order your own different colors and styles and sizes. This is the hoodie. There's T-shirts.
We need them today, though. It's kind of damp out here. It is fall now, just to let you know, on the banks of the St. John River. It's fall now, and it's a little cool. It's supposed to be nice today, 19 degrees, but right now it's damp and cool, so we need these hoodies. So
the leaves are definitely turning down here
We're watching them turn.
Canada.
When we started the trip, we said, you know what, these leaves might be turning in 3 weeks, and you know what, sure as hell they are. They're turning on the bank.
Yeah. So, but wonderful time. We'll get into that here in a second. We've actually been, as Pete said, we've been down here. We've shot 3 episodes, and the middle episode was done in Nova Scotia. here, not here in New Brunswick, but Nova Scotia, about 3 to 4 hour drive from
Which
here.
is where Pat's from, by the way, I think.
Which is where
I think
Pat's
he's
from.
a Nova Scotia boy.
And I missed that one. I was in
Yeah,
between.
you missed that one, and it was a very cool shoot. It was fun. We did the stripers with Greg Beliveau again, Bass Barn Charters, and caught a ton of fish. Got an absolute. Oh, by the way, our long handle blue pliers, those real long
ones.
They
the
made,
ones I like, they're my favorite pliers.
They made TV.
I've had those for you.
They made like a special appearance in the TV. And they're now in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, but they made a special appearance on TV.
You didn't lose my pliers.
Oh, I lost them, buddy. I had a skate on. So we were battling. We got to this point where when the stripers weren't biting, these little dogfish, sand sharks, came in and skates. And the dogfish have 2 spikes on them, and a skate has a spike on the end of the tail. So every fish we had on, we're trying to get off of the pliers, and every one of them was like these microphones trying to poke it. Trying to get your hand. I went boom, and I didn't have the strap on it, and boom, they're in the ocean. So
they're my favorite pliers.
In the minus basin, we are minus a pair of pliers right now. So there you go, buddy. Sorry.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing that episode. It should be great.
Yeah, it was
that
fun.
whole fishery
I had
is
Nick
just
with me.
mind-blowing.
We had a riot.
Not only do they have stripers, but the exciting part about that too is that when it's not uncommon when you have a striper on that a great white comes and visits the boat as well.
Or a little mako, a little 7-foot
mako.
mako, 8-foot mako. Craziness.
Before we headed off to Nova Scotia, we were here in the Fredericton area of New Brunswick fishing the St. John River, which is the river that's being featured here on this event, the PanAm Black Bass Championship. And we did a little, what would we call it, like a smorgasbord of fishing? A potpourri.
Smorgasbord, yeah.
We covered largemouth bass,
buffet,
smallmouth
like
bass.
we ate last night, like a buffet.
Yeah, exactly. We did a sturgeon, which blows our minds because, honest to God, we didn't think there were any parts of Canada left where you could fish sturgeon other than the West Coast. But here we are on the East Coast, and they have a tremendous fishery for
the
sturgeon.
Population's
White sturgeon,
wild.
right? Not the Atlantic. No,
these are short-nosed sturgeon.
Shovel-nose.
I think, one of those.
Shovel nose. We'll
Some
get
kind of nose,
somebody-
but there's Atlantic sturgeon out where we were in Nova Scotia. There's Atlantic sturgeon out there. And there are in the river here too, but the other one is either, I think, a short nose or a shovel nose, one of those two. So that's the more prevalent one. There's tons of those in there, and Nick actually caught a couple on camera. It was really cool watching him get these sturgeon. It was like, wow, such a cool fish.
And that's where you lost my pliers?
No. That was St. John River. The pliers are in the Minas Basin, which is attached to the Bay of Fundy, which is attached to the Atlantic Ocean, and there's tides. So those pliers are tumbling as we speak towards the Atlantic Ocean.
And I'm going to make an assumption at this point. I'm going to make an assumption.
Oh, I'm going to replace them.
That you and Nick have already got a game plan to replace my pliers. I'm assuming you're going to sail?
Nick's got nothing to do with it. I'm not sure if it was my fish or not, but I lost them, so I'm going to go to sale and pick them up. I'm going to pick you up a new pair. They're going to be the exact pair, too. I think
I got them from sale. That's why I know. I think I got them there when we were doing all that stuff.
Do you remember how much they were back then?
They were expensive. These were not the cheap little.
I found a great alternative on eBay the other day. I saw them.
No eBay for me.
Saw them.
Sale. I want.
They had electrical tape around the handles for the insulation. They had a nice job of electric.
While you're there at sale, by the way, they have all kinds of goodies. For those of you who have not experienced it, and if you're not in an area that has a sale store, you can simply go to sale.ca, which you can actually order my pliers on their website.
I could do that right now if I had a phone, but my phone died here in the East Coast, so I can't get those pliers till I get back home, bud.
But they have a ton of stuff. So
they do. It's a great place.
Visit them if you have a chance. You're looking for
you want to catch smallmouth bass, gear, like lures, whatever, sale's got it. Trust me. They have a lot of it.
So we've been talking about this black bass and the Pan American game, which is obviously behind us here. Let's just talk briefly about it because it's an exciting event.
Very interesting.
It's something that we have heard about for a number of years, but never had the pleasure of actually being involved on the ground with them like we have been this week.
Correct.
So here's the premise. They put together teams from all across North America and South America.
Excuse me. Let me go through that right now.
Please do. Please give us some.
Puerto Rico, China, Dominican Republic.
Whoa, China.
Colombia.
Last time I looked, China was not in
see that
the
right
Western
there?
Hemisphere.
Camera can't see that. There's a thing called the America's Cup. They fish for the America's Cup. It's another prize.
Right.
They don't fish for that.
All right.
Colombia, Dominican Republic, USA, Mexico, Turtle Island, Canada, and Wollaston. I don't know how you say that. Wollaston. nation?
Sure, let's do that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
And that's a list of teams that are here, and there's up to 8 two-man teams on these, or 2 women teams, or a split. There's the Team USA has a pair of women fishing this event too. So very interesting.
They're allowed, from what I understand, up to 8 teams per country that can qualify for this event, and those teams are two-man teams. So, for example, Team USA has a full contingent of 8 teams, or they were supposed to.
They
There
have
was one.
6. 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
there was
4, 5,
there was a
6.
cancellation
Yeah.
or something last minute. Team Canada, of course. Yeah, baby, Team Canada.
Yeah, baby. We got 8. 1, 2, 3,
full
4,
load.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yep.
Yeah, we got a full load there. So they're well represented here. We're going to read you a list of names of some of the anglers because it reads like the who's who of professional
There's some good
anglers.
sticks around here, I'll tell you that right now this week.
None less legendary than our very own, Canada's very own Bob Azumi.
The Zoomer.
Of,
the Zoomer, we
Fishing
used to call
Canada
him when we
fame.
fished against
There
him.
you go. There you go. Moose has just brought over a
Look
list
at
of
that.
people. Look
Thank
at that.
you, Moose.
By the way, Moose, for those of you that are watching this feed on the usual Canada Bass line feed, you know Moose has been just a workhorse throughout
Oh, my
this
God.
whole
He's
process.
made this whole thing happen.
Not only in front of the camera, behind the camera, on location.
His good looks, just his good looks in
extremely
general.
good-looking
Just a
young
handsome man, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
We thank Moose for his work behind us. Joe Ford is another name that we have to throw out
big
there. I
time.
wanna thank
Joe's
Joe
been
and Ben.
working at this thing forever.
I mean, those two guys have been absolutely stellar. Jeff Wilson, who is
Jeff
here.
Wilson calls himself the Mark Zona of this event now. That's what he's calling
Is that what
himself.
he's calling
I'm
himself?
Mark Zona.
He'll call himself anything. But anyway, some of the names. Scott Martin. Scott Martin is one that comes to mind.
Jacob Wheeler.
oh,
Jacob
my
Wheeler is
God.
arguably the #1 bass fishing tournament angler in the world right now. So, and he's out on this river right now fishing. So,
Some of the things that these guys have to go through, and we'll take those 2 names that you just mentioned. First of all, the travel to come from wherever home is. In Scott's case, it's Florida. To come all the way out here to Eastern Canada and participate here. But I think more importantly, you're taking them out of their normal environment and putting them into, I will say, an environment that they are totally unused to.
yeah, for
And
sure.
that is the St. John River.
For sure.
A fishery they're totally not used to, although Scott Martin does do a lot of smallmouth bass fishing. A lot of the other guys are largemouth bass fishermen, so that kind of takes them out
Yeah.
of their comfort zone
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
As Pete mentioned a few minutes ago, it is getting a little chilly here in Eastern Canada, so that takes them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For
these guys
sure.
go through just a ton.
And this river
of
is
adversity.
very quickly. This river's a really neat body of water because you look at it, you look out here out behind us, and it's like you see these beautiful trees going into the water, and you think it's just nice big banks and flats. It comes out like this and goes poof. It just goes straight down, and then all of a sudden you see a couple of shallow areas, but most of them they have channels of 100 foot of water here. There's lots of 50 to 60 foot of water, like you wouldn't believe it in a river system like that. So it's probably a different body. Maybe it's similar to some of the TVA reservoirs or something like that. Maybe in that system, maybe they could have an advantage of that versus somebody that's never fished here before. But it's a different cat than this water. There's a lot, but the amount of smallmouth here. It's absolutely ridiculous. And there's largemouth, too. They have weighed Jasper from Ontario, Team China. He weighed in the first largemouth ever in New Brunswick in a tournament. So there are largemouth here, and there was a few brought in yesterday. Beautiful-looking fish, too. So, but the smallmouth population here is just absolutely insane.
We've had the privilege of fishing this area for smallmouth bass for several years now, and I got to tell you, in terms of sheer quantity,
where do you? Quetico Park.
Yeah,
That'd be you can compare Quetico to it, and that's like
maybe.
insanity.
Yeah, so numbers are just crazy. The interesting part about smallmouth bass in this part of the world, and in particular in this province in New Brunswick, is that although they've been here for a long time, there are still people who think that they are an invasive species.
Right.
And that they don't belong. And this is a whole controversy, which I don't understand because it's fish. How can you have a controversy over fish?
I agree.
It just blows my. But there is that element here.
Then you add in the muskellunge, and then you add in the largemouth bass, and they're fighting against all three of those species. They do not, like a lot of the anglers here, do not want them anywhere near this province, and to the point of catch them, throw them in the bush. That's going on right now, believe it or not. So
yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. Up until recently, there haven't been any rules and regulations regarding bass in terms of daily
catch
possession
limits and all that.
seasons,
I
opening
think
and
I
closings.
heard something about muskie now. They have some kind of a limit on muskie now, just like this year, 2024, I think. So I may be wrong on that, but I've heard that or at least they're working on something. So I don't know the smallies. I don't even know if there's a limit here for smallies or not. That's funny because we release everything, right? We never eat smallmouth.
Now, the good news for the smallies is that I don't think anybody even knows that they are edible.
Oh, they're not edible.
Don't
say that. Don't say that.
That they're not edible. All right. No, but the fact that they're not, and I think that's what's saving them right now.
Yeah.
Is that
By the way, I've heard that chain pickerel, which I have here as well, they're saying those are delicious.
Same as a pike.
Same
as a pike.
Same as a pike.
Why would it be any different?
Yeah.
Right? So we've got a couple of those.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, we got some this trip. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's not a pickerel as some Canadians know walleye as.
Yeah, it's a real pickerel.
It's the real pickerel,
and
it is part of the pike family. It looks just like a pike, much smaller. Obviously, the markings are different.
But
you
would swear if you didn't know what a chain pickerel was, you'd say I got a pike. I guarantee you, it's an Esox family. It's a muskie, pike, and chain pickerel all in the same family. And it is not, as Ann said, a walleye is not a pickerel. That's a pickerel.
No,
look it up.
Once again, for those of you who are catching this on the Canada Bass live feed, welcome to Outdoor Journal Radio Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. And listen, while you're here, you might as well push that subscribe button. Or you might as well push the like button. You might as well do something. Let us know that you're here. If you don't do something, we won't know you're here. So go ahead and do something.
Check us out, the Outdoor Journal Radio Podcast. Please check us out if you haven't heard of us. I mean, if you haven't watched Fishing Canada on TV or on YouTube, that'd be great if you could come on over and look it up. So.
And all these programs that we're down here shooting will air for the 2025 season,
correct,
which starts early part of January, first Saturday of January of 25.
Yes, sir, you are correct, sir.
I'm not sure which episode this one is going to be, but I could tell you from some of the scenes that we've been able to capture the last couple of days, this episode, of which there may be two, from what I understand from
we got so much footage already.
This episode is going to be exciting for the simple reason that we've got folks on camera on the Fishing Canada show that have been, Bob Azumi did a cameo will be doing a cameo on this episode. And you can actually watch him fishing on the Fishing Canada show.
Correct.
So I told him while we were shooting, I said we should be calling this the real Fishing Canada show.
Bob liked that. Didn't
he liked that idea.
That's a good idea, Ange.
He was a good sport. Let us.
He
on
was
his
great.
boat,
Bobby was great. Bobby always has been great.
Sure.
Scott
Martin, we shot the most compelling scene.
You wait for this one to hit the Fishing Canada show. We're just telling you, you have never seen anything on a fishing television show like you're going to see on that episode.
It was mind-boggling, and Peter and I had like front row seats, ringside seats, because we were not on their boat. Our cameraman Vova was on their boat, and Pete and I were on the Fishing Canada boat. We were anchored up about, 30, 40 feet away from Scott's boat when this took place. And so we sat there. I mean, the only thing we didn't have was a bag of popcorn. It was like being at the movies.
This is honestly in live television. We can't show it live but it took over 20 minutes for one smallmouth bass at 3 pounds 5 ounces. So I'm going to just leave that with you. That 3 pound 5 ounce 20-minute fight. That's impossible. In the end result is insane.
It was crazy. So make sure you tune in and check that out. Now, I just before we forget, we talked about invasive species a few minutes ago. That it's believed that some of these fish may have been, brought in or gotten into the system inadvertently. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to make light of it because we're bass nuts, and to us, anytime you can have bass in a waterway is a good thing. However, that's not necessarily the truth. Bass in particular, you don't want to, for those of you who are local to this community, you do not want to be transporting bass from one body of water to another.
No.
let alone transporting other microorganisms from one body.
Let things be where they are, and just work with that, because it's highly illegal. Number one, you get caught doing that, you're going to get busted. The DNR here, or the DFO, they're not going to take lightly to that. So it's highly illegal, and it's just, you don't need to. With the bodies of waters that we have, it's unethical.
Yeah,
with the bodies of waters you have, just be blessed with what you have here and don't move them. So
now in the central part of Canada, we are currently involved in a campaign to try and stop an invasive species from getting in, and it's called the grass carp. And it's a big concern. Unfortunately, from what we understand, there's already some DNA evidence that says it has already infiltrated some of the waterways of the Great Lakes, which is a big concern because grass pike, which is one of four species, grass carp, which is one of four species of Asian carp, could potentially destroy the habitat that our native game fish need and required to reproduce. And
you know what? And the thing is, we're worried about it because we live in Ontario and we're seeing the effects possibly coming to Ontario. But it could happen. It could happen out here too.
Grass carp. Can you imagine?
Yeah, grass carp going to be. They eat 40% of their body weight in vegetation a day. Okay, so if you get a 50-pounder, for instance, that's a ridiculous amount of vegetation. That's fish holding cover for smallmouth bass, for largemouth bass, for chain pickerel.
And by the way, these fish are not just your little cute, cuddly little carp here. We're talking some of them can grow up to 80 pounds. So as Pete mentioned, 40% of 80 pounds can be consumed by one of these things in a day. It doesn't take long to totally destroy local habitat in terms of vegetation.
I got a question. This is going to be weird to the audience, but I'm wondering with our promotion that we just did with Sale, I'm wondering if that hat would be a problem over there. Would that be a problem?
Only our producer can make that call. Unfortunately, I can't
Dean,
make
did you hear
that
what
call.
I said? Thank you.
Only Dean can make that call. But anyways, the Invasive Species Center here in Canada is the organization that is on top of this problem with invasive species. And all you have to do is go to their website, which is, Mr. Bowman?
AsianCarp.ca. AsianCarp.ca.
Yeah.
And you learn how to identify these grass carp, and then if you do see one, dispose of it, dispatch of it, whatever you want to call it, and call
your bunker.
Oh, my bonk. I'm going to start patenting the bonkers. Titanium to the cranium. That's it.
The best way to arm yourself, to help this whole cause is to know everything you can possibly know about this thing called the grass carp.
Yeah, they have a reporting guide at the website, and you can download it, and you'll know what they look like, and then we take care of business after that.
Invasive Species Center, look them up. They are our friends in order to keep our fishery healthy and healthy the way we like it for our own selfish purposes, because we all like to fish.
Hell yeah.
Okay, from that to a guy who loves to fish, and you might not have known that he was a crazed angler because you watch
avid angler, ardent angler.
Crazed angler.
On the cusp of professional angler.
There you go.
He's laughing over there right now.
We'll find out about that. All right, we'll find out about that. You knew him as Randy on the Trailer Park Boys. His name is Pat Roach, and he joins us now. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey,
how are you, brother?
What an iconic character. How are you, Pat?
How you doing?
How are you, brother?
You've been on fishingcanada.com, the store. I can tell you.
And a nice hat, too. Look, this is great.
Look at you. Look at you all decked out, brother.
I know.
Looking
I
good.
feel
We
good.
don't even have one of those. Him and I don't even have one of those yet.
No.
Well, you got to talk to the right people.
Well, obviously, you know somebody we don't.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program, buddy. This is a huge thrill for us because we are both big fans. I don't want to understate that enough. We are huge fans.
Well, that's great.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah. Fantastic to have you here,
So before we get into, the background of Pat Roach. Let's just quickly talk about Randy, if we could. If
Definitely,
you don't mind.
I don't mind
First
at
of
all.
all,
I
how
love
many-
Randy.
One of everybody's favorite characters on the Trailer Park Boys. Seriously, if you haven't watched it, you got to watch it just for Randy Bobandy. It was so good on it. He was perfect.
How many years did you guys do?
Well, we're still doing it,
still
but
doing
it's been 12 seasons, and I think
No,
I forget what we've done. We've done 2 animated seasons.
And then you did one overseas, didn't you? Over in Amsterdam and all that stuff.
And those are the Ode of the Parks.
Right.
The guys, Ricky, Julian, Bubbles.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what they would go and do their own shows, and we've had three movies, I think. See, I'm getting old, Angela. I
Ricky
can't
in
remember.
Amsterdam. Think about that one with his favorite passion. Oh boy, it was a good one.
But yeah.
How iconic is that? I mean, it is Canadiana. There is not another television series, in my opinion, that is even close to being able to conjure up that Canadian feel that you guys did with that program.
Well, that's nice of you to say. Hey, I appreciate that.
How much of it was scripted, and how much of it was just impromptu, off the cuff? It just happens.
Believe it or not, Angela, 99% of Trailer Park
Scripted?
Boys is scripted.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow, that's
And,
the professionalism. That's the thing. It was
Because
fantastic.
it looks
So-
so off the cuff. You watch it, you say, "No way!" They're running ab lib there. That was
Totally. Like,
kudos to you guys.
So when good old Mr. Lahey would say, like we won an award from the IAT, PTP, SAA, TPS, and that's what that is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The International Association of Trailer Park Supervisors and Assistant Trailer Park Supervisors.
That's the one.
They write all that down, and I know my good old pal used to just love reading those scripts and trying to memorize it and breaking it down into the IAT,
Really?
PTP,
Oh, my God.
SAA. TPS, and then he'd do it again and
Wow.
again. And yeah, like that. Those are the things. But something that was improv would have been one time Ricky said, "I told you so,"
Oh, that was
instead of "I told you so."
Yeah,
and
that's classic. That's a
and
classic.
well, Bubble said, "Does the Tin Man have a sheet metal?"
yeah.
So that was an improv line. I had to bleep it, folks. But but yeah,
watch
so
the series, you'll know it.
yes, I mean over the years it's the 3 boys who write it, and I mean years ago Mike Clattenburg did, and holy cow, they came up with some really great scripts and great characters. And,
Absolutely.
I mean, in as much as the on-camera personalities make good programming, I don't think the writers get enough credit. I think well-written product can get away with marginal actors, but you can't take, and I'll tell you, I can give you some examples where you've got some like 5-star actors, but bad writing, and they look terrible.
right,
Right?
it's true.
So
You're right.
You need writers. That's why we have Dean Taylor on our show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
man,
otherwise
I tell
we
you,
are
we-
shit.
And you can tell he's a good writer. You can just tell.
Once we get the spelling fix,
Dude, I'll have to say, when the Trailer Park Boys first came out and I started hearing rumbles about it, and I watched it, and I said, "What is this? I don't know if I can." I watched about 2 episodes. I said, "I can't do that." And then I kept hearing more and more about it. I said, "Okay, I'm going to go back to those 2 episodes. I'm going to start watching more and more." And the deeper you get into that, man, I'm telling you what, that is some of the best Canadian TV. You're going to have have your parameters set a little bit in the language barriers and stuff like that a little low, but it is so classic, funny, well written, as the boys say, well acted, and the characters is ridiculous. Every character just seemed to be perfect in that show. So
I appreciate that, Pete. And who's your favorite character? Not that. Don't say
I'll
me
tell you-
because
you
I'm
know what
here.
I'm
But
going to give you my favorite. I'll give you my favorite off character.
Okay.
I'll give you an imitation of Donnie.
Donnie.
He was the best, man.
Yes,
that guy was crazy.
And do you know who is the voice of Donnie?
No, I don't.
Mike Smith, who plays Bubbles, does the voice
No.
of Donnie. Yes.
Are you kidding me?
And
Hey.
one year he yells pretty loud, some cussing.
Oh yeah.
And
get them.
and you'd get the sound guys with their booms, and you'd get that dialogue,
Right.
Because it's just the voice,
Right.
And he yelled so loud that he caused his eye, a little blood vessel to pop. So then they like, we need Bubbles in his eyes because he has those wonderful glasses and he's always moving his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So they kept all the Donnie lines till the very end of the shoot.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, and he would just have to
Donnie.
clear his throat and get ready and,
Oh,
and
my
go
God,
off.
what a
But
crazy
I got to tell you,
appreciate
though,
that.
I mean, obviously, Bubbles and the rest of the main characters are fantastic. But I think the dynamics between you and your trailer park boss,
Mr. Lahey, yes.
I think it was
That was a great.
it just was
You
magic.
couldn't wait till it went back to that scene of Randy and Leahy,
Yeah,
right?
it was
every scene, every
yeah.
show you're thinking that was good.
But there's a connection with fishing and you guys. Talk to us about that. About
The Pat Roach.
The whole Pat Roach Official, that's my Instagram, and I have a YouTube at Pat Roach Official, and I'm going to have to apologize because normally on Fridays I do a little on YouTube of being on the boat with Pat Roach, and I was here, so I was on a boat, but you didn't.
we could have come on the boat with you.
Right, but it's just me out fishing, and I'm just trying to promote that a bit. And then on Mondays there's Fish Tales where I tell little stories about whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be about fishing, but I had a bunch of followers, guys, on my Instagram that were all from Trailer Park Boys, which is awesome. We have the best fans. You're saying, we're very, very fortunate, and we never thought it would ever be that way. But my wife Kelly said, you know what, we should maybe put up some of your fishing content, because I kept the stuff on my Instagram mainly about if I was going on tour, it wasn't really into it. But now I've gotten into it and put some fishing content in. And I doubled my followers in probably about 5 weeks. So the fishing community has received it, and everyone's so darn nice.
Oh yeah.
And I always say hi, friends. And it's I'm a friendly guy. I'm a people person, and I do love to fish, but. And I'd say to my wife, I'd say, who would want to watch me fish, or why would anyone care? And she just said, well, you're nice, and you're not a pro, and there's a lot of people that just want to get into fishing, or just want to sort of see you having fun out there. And so because of that growth, people like Joe Ford saw it, and that's why I'm here. Was because
Nice.
Trailer Park Boys help. A gig always gives you steam, but then all the whole fishing community, and it's nice to be able to do. Fishing is my favorite hobby,
right?
And then, but all of a sudden,
as many Canadians. That's why they're catching on with you. That's why they're hooking up with you, right? It's a great, iconic sport in this world.
Did I read or did I hear somewhere that you guys actually used to fish? The other members of the cast actually used to fish together on an annual basis or something?
That's true. And it's actually, my best friends are Rob Wells, who's Ricky, and John Paul Tremblay, who's Julian. So we've known each other for years. And a bunch of the other boys, it might be between 10 to 15 of us, every May long weekend.
That'd be a trip right there. I'd like to get on.
Yeah, we would go on our annual trout fishing trip.
Where would you go?
Out in Pictou County. I'm not telling you the lakes because I know that I'm not giving you my secret. But and Bubbles, Mike Smith is from Pictou County, but he doesn't come on these trips. Like we met Mike later, but we've been going since I was 19, and I'm 55 now. Holy cow! And every year when fishing season would open, we'd go out and you'd camp and get out on the boats and catch some trout. But guess what? The last year I caught the most on any trip ever. Good old Patty here. I caught 22 speckled trout.
Oh, nice!
And it was awesome, and everyone was jealous.
You don't want to tell us that late?
No.
Specs,
But where we go, you don't see anyone for the whole weekend.
Nice.
It's and of course, because you're out in the middle of nowhere. If you are up late and hooting and hollering and whatnot, no one, you're not disturbing families or anything like that. And it's nice, and we're respectful. We leave the campsite that we go to cleaner than when we arrive at it. We clean up the garbage and whatnot.
Is there anything better than an opening day trip with the boys or with the family or something like that. It's so cool. It's just fantastic.
It is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, it's more of a glamping trip now, because you get generators and someone brought like the coffee machine, the Keurigs or whatever.
Yeah.
Microwave ovens and
Nice.
the air fryers. Like there's things it's a little too much, but I'm always like, come on, boys, let's just get the boats in and go. I want to get I just have a little, I always called it my aluminum boat, but I guess it's a tinner, little 12-footer. And I put a bit bigger engine, a 9.9. I got an old 2-stroke Johnson, and it starts the first or second pull every year. And so we have fun, and it is really nice. And now I get my kids, my son who likes to fish, and my daughter. Well, my son's 22, my daughter's 25. My daughter thinks we take a little bit too long. She goes, what? You're out there, you guys just don't stop fishing, and she gets a little antsy on the boat, right?
That's a problem, right? Because we obviously we talk to a lot of guys who are just getting their kids into fishing, and one of the biggest mistakes we make as parents is we automatically assume that child is going to appreciate that 8 hours out on the water that we do. And sometimes it puts them right off and they don't gravitate to fishing after a trip that. And it's so important. I can't iterate this enough. You've got to do it at their pace, and not just the time spent, but also the amount of fish that are required to make a trip good. For a kid, it might be not even catching one, but just being exposed to that time on the water, in a boat or on shore.
Mind you, if they go fishing with Pat, they're going to catch 20, 30 specks. That's a full.
That was lucky, Pete. I don't know.
It sounds like they should have you out there fishing this big event.
And that's one of the hardest things. I really love to be here, but you get a little envious of everyone.
We said
see the casting, and the river was totally calm at that one point. A few points yesterday, and you're watching these nice casts. But I have to learn how to use a bait caster. I don't have a bait caster.
You got to learn.
So maybe you guys can show me how to do that.
One day, for sure.
But it is just it is awesome.
What you said there. So Ange and I yesterday, we were covering all the different boats and all that kind of stuff, and then we just settled down for a spot. And Ange said, on the way back, and Ange says, I want to look at that spot right there. I said, what do you mean? I said, let's just go look at it fish-wise. So we went in, we dropped our live scope down, we started looking around, just took a little 10-minute break. We had rods in the boat. We just said, no, we can't do it. Can't do it. We wanted to fish so bad there.
Yeah. Speaking of live scope, how involved are you in fishing? Are you all caught up on the technology that has completely taken over, or are you still old school, a hook, a line, leave it at that?
Very good question. You've been doing this a while. You're good at these questions. The truth is I do have some technology, but I'm not a pro at all. I'm just learning. I'm learning.
What are your feelings on?
I like having. Like I have a 16.5-foot Blazer bass boat, which I got just before that darn COVID, but that bass boat got me through COVID because we were able to fish. But it has a little a fish finder, Humminbird on the front and by the steering wheel. And this is my first boat that has the trolling motor that you put in on the front, and but it doesn't really show me the fish so much, because if they're hiding around the rocks, like they were older equipment, but it tells you the temperature of the water, which is important, especially for the striped bass coming in a certain time of the year, and you learn these things. But it also tells you, of course, your depth and where you're at. But I always went by, if the wind is blowing this way, then that's where the food is going for the fish.
That's a good one to look
fish
at.
there. Or if you're in a new lake and you don't know it too well, definitely don't be tearing around with your motor. You can tear the bottom off it. But if you see a point, you can go off the points and sometimes. So these are the little tricks that maybe you hear from your father or uncle or somebody that it's not common knowledge though, because if you're just starting out, you don't necessarily know all these things. and you
Just
can
go
go
fishing,
to,
right?
Yeah, you go to the big stores that sell all the tackle, and you're looking at it all. It's a little intimidating because you don't does that work? Does this work? And some fish are finicky. They like a certain thing, and well, I've just been listening and learning from people just like you, and I find it interesting. I'm kind of nerding out and just trying to get into it. And
Just curious, did your father hook you up with fishing, or is it something you picked up?
he hooked me up at a very young age. Yeah, we had our tinner, and it had a monster engine. It was a 1.2 horsepower.
Whoa!
Yeah, Sears and Roebuck, air cooled. It
Sears
took
and Roebuck.
two and a half cups of gas into the top, and you had to make sure you had the little the air cap so that it would flow, and then you turned the gas on, and you could see it dripping through.
Yeah,
but
And
those are.
That's awesome.
in reverse.
Oh, you
turn
can
the
spin it right around.
That was in reverse,
You could lift it with your pinky from the cover,
yeah.
and we used that on those trips. And then one of my silly friends, I think he might have had a couple cocktails or something,
all right.
and he thought he was coming out to rescue us. We were just anchored fishing. We didn't need rescuing, but he reefed on pulling that engine, too hard. That's just a little tiny thing. You just got to go like this, and I need to find a spring to get that.
Oh
fixed.
boy!
But,
boy.
Yeah, so he got me into that, and he used to go, backpacking back into an old camp, and they have some boats that would be sort of stashed in the woods back there, and I mean, fishing can be work. You get exercise, and
for sure.
yeah,
If you look at a good fishing trip, and it doesn't have to be, backpacking an expedition into the bowels of Algonquin Park, although that is an incredible experience.
Yeah,
but any fishing trip that you take with a friend or family member can turn into an incredible journey.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with catching fish. I keep saying that fishing is just so much more than what maybe sometimes we make it look like. We're so focused on the catch every week.
Right.
We show the audience how, when, and where to catch. And that's important too, but at the end of the day, it's really not. It's some of those stories you just shared with us. That's what fishing is all about. And it's also about passing it on, because you can enjoy it all you want and have a great time and be a hardcore angler, but if you don't pass it on to at least one other person in your life, you've missed out on a great opportunity.
That's right.
And
right.
that is so important.
And you're so right, because I'm just getting in the outdoors, getting outside,
the best.
and the fresh air. I mean, you have a better sleep at night.
You do.
and-
Everything about it is better.
My followers they're saying, I've never tried fishing, but I'm going to try it. You make it look like it's fun, and I'm not trying to make it look like it's fun. It is fun.
It is fun. It's natural.
And
right?
and again, I'm not catching these big monsters like what we'll see here at this wonderful tournament, but I enjoy every little fish, and it is exciting. So for anyone who hasn't done it, you should try it, and just talk to people. They'll tell you how to get going. Right?
Yeah, Pat made an interesting point when we were talking about the technology, and I want to just take a step back here. He said the fish can be finicky, and some people might disagree with that or not believe that or whatever. Well, yesterday when Ange and I were out yesterday, we weren't even fishing. We were watching, and a couple that came in really mind was Tyler Williams and Trey McKinney. These two guys are the best live scopers on the planet right now. They're both young, but it doesn't matter. The age doesn't mean anything. That's a young man's game. We watched them, and they were working. Boom, they'd stop, and they'd work a fish. Move on. What they're doing there, they're working a fish, and that fish is not biting. These are the best guys that can catch these fish at almost any given time. They did that, and then Jacob Wheeler did the same thing. Scott Martin we watched doing the same thing. Bob Azumi we watched do the same thing. And most of the time we watched these guys, the fish weren't biting. Right? Remember that?
They were there. They could see them.
there.
We knew that they were. They were like a dog on point. Eh?
Yeah.
They'd
Stop.
how a dog
Go.
will try, and all of a sudden. Right? Well, that's what they were doing. They were moseying, and all of a sudden, boom.
These fish were so finicky, they wouldn't bite. So not all fish bite. So when people think, it's an easy sport, it's an easy game, whatever, that's bullshit, because it's not that easy. There's some skill to it, too. Yeah. But at other times, you can take a cast out there, and a random cast in the middle of nowhere, and boom, a 4-pound smallmouth hits your topwater. So that's the way the game is. But I just thought that was neat the way you said they were finicky. So
Do you fish bass?
That's what I mainly do. Fish. That's what I got into. Smallmouth bass.
Smallmouth bass. Your biggest smallmouth bass, and where?
I may not tell you where. No, I will. I will.
What is with this guy?
Actually, yeah.
He's been watching the other fishing shows. This is the Fishing Canada show. We tell him everything.
Okay, all right.
I love
but the biggest smallmouth I caught was 19 inches.
That's a nice fish.
And that's in Nova Scotia. It was on Grand Lake. So the Shubenacadie River runs into Grand Lake. So now you were just doing some striper activity. Is that true?
Yeah.
But they what I understand is they come up the river and then into the lake to feed, especially this time of year, starting now when the water gets cooler.
Is that the Grand Lake that's kind of joined way down here on this river too, though, or no? Is there two Grand Lakes? Is there one in Nova Scotia and one in Brunswick?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fairly close to the Halifax airport.
Okay.
Actually. But yeah, and I caught that one. It was right at dusk at the end of the day. Again, I'm more of an evening fisherman. You know, these 4:30 in the morning, early mornings.
You don't do that.
Boy, I'm feeling it a little
Vova.
bit here.
He's like Vova.
A little bit.
cameraman.
Right?
Cameraman,
Where's
and
Vova?
you and fished well together.
You guys would love
He wants to
each other.
shoot your show. Is what he wants to do.
Yeah, see, that's what you need. But it's true. Like the fish bite more in the morning and then in the evening. But I still try to catch them even in the middle of the day. Everyone here is trying to catch them in the middle of the day, and you know, so they still bite. But you got to keep trying. And you know, I've recently tried to just do the different lures. Like on that trout trip, I used, you know, live worm, and then I used just some spinners, and like I was using but going through, I caught fish on every single thing that I tried.
Getting the touch now, brother. Now you're getting the touch.
And now it's fun to try new things and just to see and all of a sudden you find a lure or something that works really well, and I kept to that, and I noticed there's not so many in the stores. I'm trying to find those ones, and could it stock up because I lose quite a few.
Yeah, you need to stock up before people get onto your game. That's what it is. So.
You need to go to sale.ca is what you need to do, brother.
I will check it out.
Let's talk a little bit about your YouTube activity, because that's all we're hearing about you is that you're almost a hot stick on YouTube right now with all the stuff. You're doing cooking on YouTube as well. Did I hear that correct?
That is correct. Yes. So on Instagram as well at Pat Roach Official, but then on YouTube you can have a little bit longer videos. You're pretty fast on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
But some of my followers, they're nice enough to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I do a couple of regular segments like on the boat with Pat Roach, and usually every Friday, where you just get to come out with me and watch me fish and hopefully catch something. But sometimes I don't. Yeah. But it's just to see me zipping around the lake, and you know, if you're lucky, you might see an eagle fly by. And I just say, not everyone has a boat, and it's like, well, you get out and to see some scenery. And I sometimes I wonder why anyone would just want to watch me sitting on the front of a boat. And I know I'm handsome, but
I just had a thought. Would it be an incredible contest, or I don't know what you want to call it, but where you could actually spend a day on the boat with Randy fishing?
AKA Pat Roach. Randy doesn't fish. Pat Roach fishes.
Oh, Randy doesn't fish at all. Huh?
Well, he did on one episode, but yeah. So, but he caught a good one.
Great?
Yeah, but with Pat Roach for a day, that's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea.
People,
you do that on fishingcanada.com, maybe.
You would fulfill their dream.
You know,
if somehow they could win or buy or whatever, to spend a day with you on the boat, I think
maybe we could work with the province in Nova Scotia or something like that. Maybe we can make something happen. You never know.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we let them decide? If you think that's a good idea, let us know, because we can make that happen. We can get this all hooked up.
We can advertise the hell out of it too.
Yeah,
just make it look good.
Drop us a line. Dean will know where to Fishing Canada.
Info at fishingcanada.com.
Let us know what you think.
Food. You know, if someone came, I could probably bring maybe some cheese,
bologna sandwiches,
some meat sticks type of stuff.
Nice.
Good,
I don't know if I could
stuff,
bring
brother.
too much food for them. Maybe some people have big appetites, but I do. But I mean, I think that would be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be great.
When
you mentioned that, I thought, what a wonderful idea, and now, especially with your YouTube version of that dream, people, you could fulfill a lot of pent up fantasies.
Right. Oh, okay. Yes.
Think about that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, my.
That's something weird. But then on Mondays, I do a thing where it's fishtails. And I tell little stories, and it's while I'm fishing, and it may be a story about fishing, or it could just be about when I was a young fella, my first job, or how I met some of the cast on the show. I do throw some of those things in there, and people kind of like to hear these silly little stories. They could be 5 or 10 minutes long or something.
Yeah.
And you cook too on a show. You do.
And I know I don't. Well, people want to see me cook, so I have cooked some fajitas. I make good fajitas. Yeah,
You make good.
I do.
Like
I don't
that
just
from
eat.
scratch. You
Yes.
make the whole thing.
I do. Yeah. Get the nice the cast iron pan and get it blackened and oh yeah. I like.
I
Well, I
really
like
not
to
a-
eat. I like to eat.
Pat Roach,
you
the
know.
most interesting man in the world.
There you go.
That's
The
it right
Renaissance
there.
man.
It's friendly,
He's a Renaissance man.
being friendly and well, I do like to cook, and it's again, there's some people I can't cook, and it's like, well, sure you can. You just have to try it and learn it, and it's like anything.
You ever eat striped bass?
I haven't, and I hear it's delicious.
Oh, buddy.
See, and
So good.
Pat.
So good.
Oh my God, that
gotta-
could be the best tasting fish
Yeah.
on the
Really?
planet.
You do it on YouTube. You could cook it and eat it for the first time on YouTube. There's our idea.
that's a
for you.
good idea, Pete.
Hey.
I might steal that.
All right,
I'm telling
buddy.
you,
Cheers.
it is.
I'm gonna get you to sign a form.
Okay.
Make sure
A release.
It's done. It's done, buddy.
Stealing your ideas.
Yeah, it's better as far as I'm concerned. It's better than walleye, and that's really putting it out.
I haven't tried walleye either.
Oh my God!
So
What the hell is going on?
I'm
brother?
gonna be trying some. Well, I did get to try one time when Mr. Lahey and I did some comedy shows up in Saskatchewan. A feller caught some pickerel.
Yes,
that's
and,
walleye.
That's walleye.
Oh,
walleye.
That's walleye.
really?
That's our pickerel.
Oh,
They call them
okay,
pickerel, but it's
and they're different than the ones out
Yes.
east.
Yes.
'cause,
Right.
I've caught a few, but we don't keep them or anything. But he said I brought it to the chef, and they're gonna cook for breakfast in the morning. And I was thinking,
Wow.
who would eat that for breakfast? I kind of was like, I'm with bacon and eggs and
Yeah, of course.
So anyway. Got the meal served, right? The pickerel came first. So I said, okay, I'm going to try this. And I ate all of that before the rest of my breakfast and
that
wished
good.
there was more.
Yeah,
It was
This is
so
a
good.
perfect time to dispel this.
Yeah, this is
myth.
what
So
we live. We live this all the time. Here.
You just said something that happens right across this country on a daily basis. Okay, so you said it wasn't like the pickerel we have down east. Pete said that's called a walleye because you had said, well, I haven't eaten walleye, but in fact you had. All right, here's the problem. Walleye is walleye. Pickerel is a different fish. Pickerel is what you have here down east, the chain pickerel.
Okay.
Okay, walleye is a totally different fish. However, it doesn't even look the same.
Right.
However, I got to tell you, if you took pickerel and walleye and prepared them exactly the same, cut them up exactly the same, put them on a plate, and mix them together,
You'd have a hard time.
I don't even know how good you'd have to be to know the difference.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
good.
Hard
So that's, but one's walleye, totally
Right.
different fish. What's the scientific name?
Well, it used to be Stichostidium vitrium. Now it's written right on. Is it on his shirt? Right
No,
there.
it's bass.
Oh, microptersalmoids.
Yeah.
And there's
So-
some kind of vitreous thing or something like that. So
Totally different fish.
Right.
But they taste incredible, and it's hard to tell the difference.
it's a nickname. It's fun. It's like my name is Pete Bowman. My nickname is Bow Rod. What's a bow rod? Nobody knows, but it's just a nickname that I don't know
Right.
why they ever happened.
Oh,
but it's all it
okay.
is a nickname. Largemouth bass is a big mouth. It's a bucket mouth. Whatever. It's a nickname.
Right.
It just came on to walleye, and I don't know how it stuck. It seems like the Americans might have brought it up. That's what everybody points to the Americans, but I don't know if that's true because it's way up in northern Ontario as well, and northern Saskatchewan. So I don't know how it came about, but
and they're not
it's a
here.
nickname.
You don't have them here in the East Coast.
Walleye.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
You have
no.
pickerel, but not walleye.
But you have eaten walleye, brother.
Okay.
And it was good.
delicious.
Obviously.
And I
Breakfast.
eat it again. So,
Yeah, good.
And I'm always saying I have to eat more fish. And
What's your favorite fish recipe? How if I said to you, Pat, fix me your cup-winning food, fish food?
Well, this is it's It's fairly easy, you know. I just take some real lemons. Like if you have a real lemon and you get the juice out of a real lemon, and
Squeeze it. You got
I got the squeezer, and whenever I use real lemons or limes or whatever, I always get a little bit of the zest, whether or not I say the rest, because it always just gives it just a little bit more and makes it look professional, you know.
Yeah.
But then I take a little bit of garlic and put some garlic in there along with say a little bit of olive oil, and just mix that up, and I just cook the fish with a little bit of oil, just a couple minutes on
the
each
oven or
side. I use a cast iron pan, and then I put that, if you want to call it a sauce or marinade, over top. But you put a little bit of dill in with it.
Oh
too.
yeah,
I
dill
love
works good.
You got to have that fresh dill.
Yeah.
And put that in there. Oh my! It just tastes
How long?
delicious.
I'm hungry, boys. Right now, I'm hungry.
How long?
It's only just like a couple minutes on each side, and I know that you don't need to cook fish really long, and I don't like any like dry fish is not good, or any dry meats.
Yes,
and
when
stuff.
you're overcooking it, right?
I like a juicy, you know.
Absolutely.
And so
That's why you like stripers, because you do it like you're talking about. You cook just right each side. Boom, and, oh my God, it's moist. It's perfect. It's flaky. You will love it.
Right. Now
Just the way you're talking about. Do it exactly what you're using there, and do it with stripers.
Oh, that sounds good. Now my mom has a recipe that it was her seasoned flour recipe. Just you add a whole bunch of different things. I think paprikas to the flour,
Right.
and you just make it in a big mason jar. But then I'll take, say, haddock. We have a lot on the East Coast, and after you just rinse it and clean it, all I'll do is just pat that in that seasoned flour and with a little bit of oil. I don't put any wash on it or anything. Just with a little bit of flour. Put that in the pan, fry it up.
Nice.
Have a little bit of lemon, and I'll whip up a little bit of tartar sauce. Just some mayonnaise with a little bit of dill in there, and
You
that
sound
type
like
of
you
thing.
know what you're doing.
Just-
a little
just-
bit. Hey,
and you
Perfectly
just try
healthy,
it.
by the way. Everything you just mentioned. That's why I asked you everything you just mentioned is perfectly healthy, including the olive oil.
Right.
By the way.
Right.
including the fish. That's damn
well,
healthy for
that
you.
goes without saying. But
right.
unlike butter or a vegetable oil or whatever else, olive oil, when you're preparing fish like that, is the healthiest and most effective way to do it. So
Right. See,
you're on the right track.
I'm
man.
doing, and I can keep learning. And that's the whole idea.
So where can they get more of this training?
Well,
preparation.
Let's go through YouTube. Let's go through Instagram. Let's give everybody your handles.
Yeah, it's at Pat Roach Official, and and that would be on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok right
You
now.
got Facebook going at all too?
No, not right now with that. So, but anyway,
I do know what you do have cooking, and what's coming out is a movie.
that's right, a trailer park movie. Wow, yes,
Nice,
we have
bud.
another movie that's coming out
many is
there.
that?
I think this is number 4, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not that good at counting. My math is not that good. But
Stop your feet.
Yes. But this is coming out in theaters. I think it's coming out in over 150 theaters. And
Has it been done already? Like, is it
yes.
done? You're finished with
yes,
it?
we
Nice.
filmed last summer, and it's going to be funny. It's about Bubbles, who starts up his own band, and
His own band.
Oh boy!
Didn't he have a band in one?
Well, he played guitar.
Yes.
He played with Alex Lifeson for a while there, and
from Rush, yes.
From
But
Rush.
in real life, Mike Smith was in a band named Sandbox.
Okay, I
Right.
And a good Canadian band, and he's a very talented.
he is, isn't he?
And yes,
He can
and
play and sing.
that would be hard to sing as Bubbles in the low voice. Like, that's tough, but he pulls it off, And we had a lot of fun. So keep your eyes open.
I can't wait to see that.
How long did it take to do that movie?
I would probably say. I mean, I know that Mike Smith wrote it, but I would say it took a good year at least. Because it's between him writing it and then shooting different content and there's a couple different actors that are in it with availability and things, and then of course editing and,
Oh my God.
and making
Editing
sure that the music all sounds good, because I know Mike he's a perfectionist and he wants it to be the best it can be and the funniest it can be.
Is it
and
totally different doing a movie versus a TV series?
Yes. Well, it's longer because I mean most of the series episodes are 22 minutes to could be a half an hour.
And how long did you take to do those?
So we would shoot a whole season, and you might get like 10 episodes or 12 episodes in about 40 days.
So a month
right?
and a half.
So, but then they get edited, color corrected. All the different. There's so much work that everyone does behind the scenes that it always amazes me. That's why I find all this stuff very, very interesting to me to see how professional all this is. And I mean,
funny.
it's
we get folks that at live events that come over and talk to us, and there's still a lot of people out there. God love each and every one of you, by the way, that think that we go out to a new body of water, and in 22 minutes we've caught trophies of a lifetime and all the fish we wanted, and did the show, and off we go to the next.
That's it.
Scene.
right.
22 minutes. That's all
boy.
it takes to do a fishing show. Right?
Easy job for you guys,
I
right?
know.
Yeah, boy,
So,
that's
just so that we all have it straight. It takes us 5 full days to capture 22 usable minutes of footage,
okay.
and it takes the rest of the production people 14 days in post-production
Okay.
per episode.
Right.
So if you do the math,
Trailer Park Boys, pretty much, right?
yeah, if
Same
you do the
idea.
math, it takes us the whole year to do 13 episodes
right.
from
Right.
start to finish.
Exactly.
And then people don't realize just how many folks are involved, same as what you did and do. How many people behind the scenes are responsible for that product that you see every. We do our stuff. Honestly, we have the smallest part in the whole series.
Right,
As far as I'm
right.
concerned, one of the reasons is because we love being out there for 5 days.
Right.
Let's be honest about this. Let's not fool around. For us, if we could just forget all the other stuff, the travel and the pre-production, the post-production, this and that, we'd just spend all of our time out there.
We get just got the word 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
Boba was
Speaking of our on the road again,
the official.
there's
There's the Boba.
that's the guy that when Ed says 5
in
days
my
on the
butt,
road,
by the way.
there'll be 2 or 3 of those days. Volvo will be just saying, "No, guys, that wasn't good. Do this. No, guys, no. I got to get the drone up doing that." So it's not just fishing. There's all kinds of shooting that goes on there.
But you need to take that advice too.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Because he wants it to be the
we
best.
give him
it can
advice
be.
too when we get pissed off
And,
with him, but we can't say that here right now.
No.
Well, he was showing me this neat little camera that you
Osmo.
use,
Isn't that
and it's
cool?
got a little
Osmo.
gimbal on
Isn't
it.
that nice?
And because again, I'm just getting started in this, and I know we have trouble sometimes with sound and out in the wind and the waves out there. And it's
You need to get an Osmo. That's a perfect
for
camera for you, buddy. Perfect.
So because things, it looks easy to work with, and these
They
are
are.
the things that can make your job a pleasure.
Pat, we have to get moving. They've got a live event coming on right after us here for the Pan American Black Bass Championship, and we're encroaching on that deadline.
All
So,
right, sounds good.
As much as I'd like to have you on for another 2 hours, they're kicking us out. So
All
that means
right.
you got to scram as well.
Well, if Pete ever gets sick or something, you need someone
Oh,
to come
buddy,
on the
you're
show,
on my
or
list.
vice
You're
versa.
it, buddy.
You just give me
You're
a
it.
call, and
You're it.
I'll help you out.
You're on my
list, my
right?
friend.
But thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
For those of
Been
you out there,
fantastic, brother.
look him up. His name is Pat Roach. He's got all kinds of great stuff happening. He just made a new fan in me because I'm going to go subscribe to those stations. And,
At Pat Roach Official, yes.
Pat Roach Official.
Absolutely.
We urge each and every one of you to do as well. For us, this is the end of another road trip. In fact, this is the end of the road trip season for the Fishing Canada, guys.
Right.
Congratulations, Mr.
Hell
Bowman.
yeah,
You made
brother.
it through it. We fooled them for another year. Thanks, everybody.
This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Center, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species, and Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.